done this before, but I've had a lot of questions in the marketing team on green tea, and it got to the point that is it working? Oh, turning it on helps. Yeah, it got to the point that Doro had to ask me once to do a brown bag lunch on the topic, and then twice, and then 3 times. And by the third time, I obliged her, and I said, okay, I'll do one. So apparently I talk a lot about green tea, and I guess there's an interest. Before I joined Project A, I worked at Sunday Natural, which is on Potsdamer Straße. They're a tea shop, Japanese green tea. They have a really nice selection. So I learned a lot about the product, and also started drinking it on a daily basis. But we'll get to the those details later. So welcome, and hi to my mom, who's watching from New York. And thank you as well to Francesco for the slide thing. It's nice to work with. And thanks to Christina for helping me serve the tea later. So let's jump into it. Today we're going to do culture and production, review that, talk about the health benefits and the recommended routine for the green tea, then review tea and paraphernalia, how to consume it, then a list of tea shops and other resources, and then at the end just talk a bit about preparation and taste, and we'll be doing it as well. Okay, so what is tea? Let's start at not just green tea. What is tea? It all comes from one plant, which is the Camellia sinensis. Origin is from Asia, so the big tea brewing countries are India, Sri Lanka, China, Korea, Japan. I think that's it. And basically, it's all the same plant, which took a while for me to understand. But this graph kind of shows it. So basically, you have the fresh leaves, which is all the same thing. How you arrive at Japanese-style green tea is basically a question of process, and the key difference is steaming. Japanese green tea is steamed instead of pan-fried, and you have your black tea, which is the Darjeeling and the Earl Grey and all that stuff that we normally consume. So basically, that's the main difference. So the Chinese, they pan-fry it, and the Japanese, they steam it. And as you know, in cooking, when you fry something versus when you steam it, with frying, you get that nice fried taste, but you lose a lot of the nutrients. And when you steam something, most of the nutrients stay in. So it's actually always healthier to steam anything. It's also the Ayurvedic Indian stuff. They also steam their fruits and vegetables. So on the left, you have a pan-fried tea that's from China, and on the right, you have that green, steamed, preserved Japanese green tea style. So we're going to be talking about Japanese green tea today. Let's get this out of the way quickly. Japanese green tea culture. You have your milestones. Back in 815, some Buddhist monk named Ishu prepared and served sencha to Emperor Saga from Japan. That's the first documented evidence of green tea being consumed in Japan. It became a drink of monks, warriors, and nobility. Every little precinct in Japan started doing taste contests, national awards, prestige for who's brewing the best, and that's how it kind of developed. In 1854, you had a peace and commerce treaty between Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu and American President Franklin Pierce. That increased international demand. Obviously, Japanese green tea got a whole new platform, and then in 2010, every Instagram model suddenly starts drinking matcha. And if you look at Google Trends, it's actually really interesting how matcha has just been spiking, and it's searched for a lot. How does this relate to Buddhism, Zen Buddhism? Well, it actually developed hand in hand, the culture. Basically, again, there was this, Zen Buddhism started in China as well as green tea, if you look at it that way. But it came to Japan and was institutionalized by a Buddhist monk named Issei in Kyoto. He brought with him teachings, philosophy, scriptures, and he also brought this powdered green tea, which is matcha, which helps you stay awake during meditation. And the tea ceremony is basically where two or three people sit down and brew tea and just enjoy it. It ties into Zen Buddhist philosophy in the sense that it's one phrase, one time, one meeting. To remind us of the uniqueness of the present moment and that life is transient, ever changing, and impermanent. Like every cup you enjoy, it's just that one cup, and it's never going to be the same. That's how they tie in. I mean, there's a nice kind of imagery here when a student asked Rikyu, who's the founder of the Japanese way of tea, he basically asked me, he's like, what's the most important teaching of the tea ceremony? Like, blow my mind. And he basically just says this quote, which is basically saying, you make a delicious bowl of tea with the charcoal, keep it cool in the summer, in the winter, and warmth, and give those with whom you find yourself every consideration. The student was disappointed in the response. He said he already knew all of that. And Ricky told him, well, if you can do all that well, then the master would study under the student. So it's basically just doing this really simple thing well. And that's what Zen Buddhism kind of is about. Very, very simple. Let's move on to the tea regions. You have a couple of major regions. We'll review how much each produce. In Shizuoka and Mie, here's Kyoto, where the Buddhism started. And then it's all in the south. Kagoshima and Miyazaki are big ones as well. Where it's not is in the north, which is kind of nice for all of you who are thinking like, well, they had a Fukushima nuclear reactor thing, and that's probably going to affect the green tea. That's all the way in the north. Yes, it's spilled out into the water, but there's been every tea that's imported from Japan gets tested for radioactivity. So there's not really much risk. Nothing's been seen out of that. If you see the production level per region, Shizuoka and Kagoshima dominate. And we'll go into a bit of the details. The reason that dominates so much, it's not necessarily the best tea, it's more of a flat region. And that allows for machines to harvest the tea, which is not possible in other regions as they're more hilly, and those are picked by hand. So basically you have kind of technology allowing for more harvest. The traditional Japanese micro cultivars, they don't like Kagoshima because they're producing it for cheaper with machines, and they're putting their kind of old grandpas and at risk, but that's the nature of business. This is a picture of that's Mount Fuji, some tea plantations. I'm sure you guys have seen them. I actually have been to one in southern India, and it's probably one of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever seen. Tea has to be grown high. There's always like cloudy mist. You need a lot of moisture. So it's very, very also aesthetic as well. Then there's the harvest cycle. So this is going to come into play later when we're talking about the different teas. You have Shinsha, which is the new tea. It's kind of like a big hype in Japan, and those who like to drink. It's the fresh new tea, and it's yeah. You have then the Ichibansha, which is the first tea, which is the entire first harvest system. You have your Nibansha, which is the second tea, and then Sanbansha, which is the third tea, and then you have your Yonbansha, which is the fourth harvest of the year. Can take its place as late as October. So you have April to October, you have the season. You really want to be drinking the Shinsha, Ichibansha, and then really maximum down to the Sanbansha, because the rest is just the leaves are old, and we'll talk about why that's important later. So these are what you want to look for when you're buying Japanese green tea. It's Ichibansha. That'll be your indication. Shinsha is actually just one type of sencha, and this one is the sencha, which we'll be drinking later. So it's just one variation, which is the first harvest. Here's a picture of the different types of Japanese tea. You have your matcha here. Then you have your sencha, I believe is this one, your hojika. We'll get into the details. Let's talk about the health benefits. You have your compound breakdown here from fresh cut green tea leaf. It's a lot of moisture, it's solid. These are the things that you drink in the tea water. So they're soluble. You have your amino acids, caffeine, minerals, vitamins, fluoride, flavonoids. These are the things that are non-soluble in water. Vitamin E, chlorophyll, carotene. So when you drink a green tea, you don't drink the leaves, right? You just put the leaves away. When you drink matcha, which is a powder, you're actually also drinking the leaves. That's why it's also vastly more nutritious than green tea. That's why you're also getting a vitamin E, chlorophyll, and these other things, which you won't be getting from a normal tea. So let's go into the health benefits. I'm going to start with the star. Different types of green tea provide different benefits. You need to drink them in rotation and a vast variety in order to get all of these. but it has things like it lowers cholesterol in the blood. It's a very strong detoxifier. Has very strong antioxidants. Good for the immune system. Good for anti-tension, both physical and mental. It's good for cavities apparently. Deacidifies the body. Aids the digestive system. It's good for performance, for sports performance as well as recovery. It increases the insulin sensitivity, which helps lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes. It helps the prevention of various cancers. It's anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, and much more. So let's talk a bit about what's exactly in, let's say, young green tea leaves, dry weight. Here you see the percentages of, yeah. That's where we go back to pan frying versus steaming. So this is only for Japanese green tea, because when you pan fry, you lose a lot of nutrients. This is what it contains. It's polyphenols, protein, lipids, minerals, amino acids, caffeine. I mean, amino acids are very healthy. That's proven. Caffeine as well to some degree. Proteins, yes. Lipids, the good ones, yes. Minerals, yes. That's all completely proven. Polyphenols are this kind of like thing that's still being researched a lot. I can't talk too much about it because I don't know all of the details. They're basically a compound that's found in plants, and they're supposedly linked to a lot of health benefits, and green tea is one of your best sources of them. I can't really get into the details, but I invite you to just Google it. 100 grams of sencha tea contains all of these things. Again, phosphorus, calcium, iron, natrium, vitamins, different vitamins, carotene. Again, the vitamin E is only if you actually drink the tea leaves, which you don't usually. So yeah, so there you have a source. You can look that up. There's some, I'm sure there's some skeptics here. I'm not going to go through all of this. I'll send around the slides. You can look at the following list of problems and diseases that green tea has been helped with. I mean, it's everything from acne, AIDS, okay, ADHD, depression, lung cancer, eye tumors, flu. Yeah, you don't need a flu shot. And yeah, so a lot of different links, and you can check out the entire article down there. This is actually a great website I'll reference later. So now let's get into the types of green tea. You have your matcha, finely ground. You're actually it's stone ground on like it's an old Japanese way of preparing it. That's also the first one that was involved for the tea ceremony back in the day. Then you have your teas that are, let's highlight a few. Hojicha is kind of opposite to the rest. It's low in caffeine and it's roasted. Gyokuru will be drinking. It's the highest grade of tea. It's my absolute favorite. And it's the reason, well, we'll get into that in a second. Sencha is the most popular one. It's the most famous one outside of Japan. I assume most of you probably drank it. You have your bancha as well, which is low in caffeine. Second harvest, as we're getting back to the harvest. It's good for everyday consumption. Genmaicha, you guys have probably tried as well. That's the rice tea. That's the green tea mixed with rice. It has also very nice flavor, and it's pretty popular outside of Japan. So I'd say that matcha, sencha, and genmaicha, or popcorn tea, it's also called. That's the one that you guys have probably heard of. Okay, so yes, it is. It is almost by far. Sencha, then matcha. Again, you have the different teas, different colors. See that there's a great variety there, although they're all steamed, most of them. So let's just single out the production method on Gyokuru, because it's really my favorite. You have basically what's done is that you'll have the tea harvest, which you have the tea plants which are exposed to sun all the time. But what it's done in the case of Gyokuru, it's very early on. There are these shade structures that are built out of straw, and the tea is completely shaded under the sun. What that makes is that the roots of the tea struggle to reach the sunlight more. And what that results in is just more, like the plant is working more and releasing more of the minerals and of the taste as well. So that's why you have such a rich taste. So let's get into the recommended routine. Like if you want to optimize your health in terms of green tea, you should be drinking green tea morning, lunch, evenings, and yeah, morning, lunch, evenings. Then with a 2 to 4 times per week matcha. Basically, you have the 4 different main categories of the health benefits. You see that gyokuru, I mean, this is actually a bit high. There should be less. But basically, you see that, yeah, you have different, that's why you're getting all the benefits if you're drinking these 4. And these are the areas of effect. So you have the gyokuru, which is particularly good for the kidneys, brain, cardiovascular system. I mean, you guys can read. Sencha for metabolism, stomach, immune system, bancha, which is kind of more the calming one, intestinal flora, exactly, prostrate. And then matcha, which is a strong detoxin and antioxidant. Vitamins, again, which you don't get from any of the other teas in that sense. Stamina, brain, yeah. So if you want the simple version of this, you drink in the morning gyokuru, and at lunch sencha or shincha, and in the evening either one of those 3, with 1-2 times a week benifuki or matcha. The notes down here is that similar to coffee, you'd want to drink 1 glass of water after you have a tea. That applies the most for matcha. The rest is okay, but like when you drink an espresso, you know, you always drink a glass of water because it dehydrates the body a bit. And then ideally, if you're gonna, you know, some people like to go all in. You're not just drinking a sencha. You're drinking a sencha Miyazaki. You're drinking a sencha Fukimori in an alternating basis, because there's just a lot of nuances. And if you're really into the health, then that's what you take. Children up to after 5 years old should be consuming half of this if they want to. It's not meant for infants. They should avoid green tea. So yeah, that's that. Okay, which teas to drink? I put together kind of some one-liners to orient yourself towards. So this is the effect of green tea versus coffee. Coffee you drink, you spike, and you go down. And then you crash, and then you need to drink more coffee, or you just get in a really bad mood. With green tea, you don't have that. Green tea is kind of like, the spike is never as high, but it's a more level, and you come down slowly. That's why it's a great tea for working. It's a great tea for doing sports. It's a great tea for anything. So like, I mean, I don't know if there's certain things that coffee gives you that green tea doesn't, in terms of health, possibly. Again, the coffee would need to be really fresh and really good quality, which most people don't drink. But yeah, basically you can replace coffee with green tea and find yourself probably more productive. So those are the 2 you want to focus on, sencha and matcha. If you want to lose weight, there's a recommended to drink a mix of these. If you trust me, this is kind of the combination I drink. Although I have to admit I don't drink bancha. That's why I put optional. Rooibos is not a green tea. That's why I'm throwing it in there, because this is what I drink at night. It's really, really nice. I can highly recommend it. It's a rooibos chamomile blend, which just chills you out on a Sunday night after a long weekend, or like just when you're by the fireside or something. It's nice. So yeah, if you just love the taste of green tea and you don't care about coffee or health or anything else, then I'd recommend the gyokuru, again, matcha. They're fun to drink. What the doctor ordered, we'll get into. That's actually based on what I told you earlier, the recommended routine. This is, and then if money ain't a thing and you're just trying to experiment with very nice teas, get in touch with me. I'll send you a few. There's quite a few contest grades green teas, which are pretty pricey, but they've won contests in Japan, and like they're like, I don't own any, but I'll have a glass with you if you buy some. Yeah, so I mean, in case it's not clear, money invested regular into drinking quality green tea, it's repaid in terms of increased health, better mood, clarity of mind, and satisfaction. I can say that from a personal level, 2 years later, it's definitely been a very, very cool thing in my life. So it's something that's nice to share as well. Okay, so we've done that. Let's get to how to drink it. You have lots of different accessories. Some are essential, some aren't. Just so you get a feel of what's out there. Let's go into the paraphernalia. So essential is a hot water boiler with a temperature control. This is absolutely essential. This is one of these. You set the temperature, and the reason why is that the temperature you drink the green tea at, it's it's holy. Like you never drink green tea at 100 degrees. It kills the taste, and it probably kills some of the health benefits as well. You drink it at most at 60, 70, but there's a range of 50 to 80. So you want a hot water boiler that can set the time. Then you have your kana, which is your kyuzu. They come either with the filter here or the filter inside. Alternate, of course, is to use a in-glass strainer, where you just have it directly in the glass. This is also nice for the office. You just take this out, and it comes with a lid, so you just put it on the lid. You don't need like a second plate. So those are essential. If you want to get involved with matcha, you have your bowl, your bamboo brush, which is essential to make it foam. And if optional, then is the bamboo spoon, which is used to take the matcha out and put it into the bowl. You have your brush dryer, which is actually an extremely cool device. I don't have one, but it looks like a, I don't really know what it looks like. It looks like a egg holder kind of thing, and you put it on when it's done. Because as you see that the brush, they're not even, they're kind of a bit bent, and that happens over time. One way to negate that factor is you put warm water into the matcha bowl first, and you dip the brush into the matcha bowl to kind of let them soak in, and then for like 15 seconds, and then you remove, pour the water out, and then make your matcha. So then they're not like freshly getting spun around. But if you have this brush dryer, you just put it on, and it'll dry, and it'll get back into shape. So that's actually really cool. But Christmas is around the corner, so I might get one. Green tea cups. These are ones. They're little, small, circular, fun. You have your wooden tea box, which I don't have. These preserve it pretty well, but if you want, you also have to drink it pretty quickly. So that's a good investment, but not necessary. You have your timer and stopwatch, which is pretty necessary, but everyone has a smartphone, so it's also optional. And then optional as well is the Satetsu Natsume Sakura, and let's take a look at that. So this is made of iron that comes from sand. It's really rare, hard to make. The raw material as well is getting rare. Metal workers need to train for 15 years before they're allowed to even try to make one. I've actually had the pleasure of having a cup of tea out of one of these, and it's really funny. I don't know if you guys have seen Kill Bill, but like you have this Japanese samurai sword maker, and he's really into his thing. And like when he hits the sword, there's this ring that just doesn't stop, and it's this pure ring. So basically, I forget what we took, but we took something metallic and we hit the thing, and like it just rang for like half an hour, and it's really, really nice. If someone wants to venture guess at the price, feel free. On Alibaba, I don't know. 10,000, not bad. It's actually 6,500. So, yeah, it's. But your willingness to pay, I guess, is a bit higher. So yeah, so that's completely optional. But if you, yeah, you know, that can. So you have your tea shops. You have Sunday Natural, which is where I worked. It's great. They have the best selection of Japanese green tea I know. Tegeschwender is also really, really good. I would recommend both. I think price per kilo, you'll be better off on Sunday. Tegeschwender is kind of more for the upper segment. And beyond that, I haven't found a tea shop, so I wouldn't recommend going anywhere else pretty much. Then offline, you have in Berlin, you have a paper and tea, and you have in Charlottenburg, and in Mitte, Chazinho, which sounds Brazilian, in Neukölln. Ayash Frère in Mitte in Galerie Lafayette. It's a good one. Tee and Ton, which is in Prenzlauer Berg, and then even Doro, who lives in Steglitz, can go to Daniel's Tea House. So, no excuses. Purchasing guidelines, buy organic. Don't ever not buy organic. Reason being, you don't want pesticides on the leaves that you're using low temperature water to boil on. So it's not boiling. So, yeah, you always want to buy organic, especially for matcha because you're drinking the leaves. So you do not move on. Not organic. Same thing we talked about earlier. You know, if you go crazy, you can drink the sencha leaves as well, organic, knowing you won't be having any pesticides. You want the first or second harvest, always. The most recent harvest. So if you're buying tea today, it'll be 2017 harvest. And if for some silly reason you have to, then buy the 2016, but don't go beyond that. The country and region of the tea must be labeled. Manu, we had this issue when you bought tea that was, did it even say it was from China? It said of China, okay, but it didn't say where or what. So basically, the country and the region really should be labeled. And then if you're in any of these stores, drink a cup before buying. Like that's what it's. Have a chat with the person who's selling. The people who work in tea shops, they're pretty relaxed. So have a chat with them. It's fun. Cool. So optimal preparation. It's kind of simple. We're about to do it. But basically, yeah, you store it in a cool, dry, dark, airtight place. You drink this or last year's harvest. You respect respect the temperature and the time. So just as important as not putting 90 degrees is you look on the package what temperature it is, and then you set the time. So if it's 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Am I filtering the water? No, but was back in the, you saw it, right? Yeah, that's recommended. Some cities it matters more than others. It is a huge difference. Would you say Berlin's water is particularly kalky? Hard, yeah, exactly. Someone told me, some French person told me that they thought that tea wasn't so big in France because the water was so, I don't know, I don't believe him. So yeah, tea filter is a good one. You basically, you respect the time, you heat up the water to the desired temperature. This is also very key, and this is why you need one of these. You don't want to go to 100 degrees and then drop it down. What normally you can do as a rule of thumb is if you want 60-degree water, you take you take a cup, put room temperature out of the faucet 1/3, and then you pour hot water in, and that gets it down to 60. But what you've done there is you've changed the molecules of the water when you boil them up to 100. So you actually really want to be heating it up to 60 or 70, and that's it. You measure the tea, you pour the water, you set the timer, and you remove the tea when it's done. Save the leaves. What you can also do is you have the multiple infusion concept, which is also for like, I do 2. You can do up to 5, which is basically, so the total time is 2 minutes, 120 seconds. You can do the first one 90 seconds, and then save the leaves, drink your tea. When you're ready, you make the same temperature water, or actually a bit warmer, depends on the tea. You put 10 seconds, drink it again, wait, and then 20 seconds, and then 5, and then 5. So you have 5 cups of tea. The jury's a bit out on which is healthier, 1 or 5. I think the consensus is 1 is actually healthier, although I don't really know why. But, overkill. So after you wash it by hand, no soap, minimal. Don't leave the tea in the can and forget about it. So when we moved offices, I had left green tea in this one, and I discovered that about 2 months later, and it was one of the most disgusting smells I've ever dealt with in my life. So don't do that, and then drink a glass of water after your tea. Last slide, it will be how to describe the taste, and probably sound like a pretentious fool while trying. Yeah. Right. So umami is an interesting word. It is kind of like there's bitter, sweet, sour, savory, which is the classic taste things, and then there's umami, which is the 5th one, and that has an interesting taste. It's a taste of seaweed, a little bit like algae. And then you have earthy taste, sweetness, more bitter, more astringent, more chlorophyll-y. And those also see what you're drinking. So the earthy thing will be the mineral maxis. Einschenken. Voll. And then so then basically that's the taste. Oh yeah, okay. So you have your more resources. You have exhaustive resources compiled on all aspects of green tea on grünertee.de. which is so at Sunday, and it's an interesting business model. Basically, the founder he started talking about green tea, and he started an online resource for green tea, and he wrote an incredible resource base for green tea based on a lot of studies, and it's a really cool resource. Anything else you can Google, of course. The list of the medical benefits is the link there. So offline, you have the Book of Tea from Okakura Kakuzu. You have tea in so that'll be more green tea. This is the kind of general tea history, and then I included these as well because it links in. And in case you're interested, a great place to start in Zen Buddhism is from D.T. Suzuki, who's kind of like the voice for. Sorry, I'm just gonna add some water. He's kind of the voice for green tea, Buddhism. I'm getting confused. And then you have the final book I'd recommend is Everyday Zen by Charlotte Beck, which is very simple, talking about Zen in everyday life. For those that are interested, probably need more water actually. Okay, so finally, I'm just going to leave you with some quotes on Zen. The first one involves tea, and then the second one's kind of, they really quickly summarize what's going on, what Zen is about. And I mean, in the end, for those who don't know, it doesn't deal with God. It's not a religion in that sense. And yeah, in the end, it has nothing to do with letters, words, or sutras. It's just kind of, it's very, very simple. So I invite anyone to, to get in that. And 1 second, almost done. So, I mean, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. You should first start with tea, definitely. I mean, I guess we hand them out.
Ist jetzt überall der gleiche drin?
Yeah, this is all the gyokuru. So this is the one that's shaded.
Vielen Dank.
Schon ein bisschen bitte, ne?
There's more on the way.
Was ist jetzt dein Lieblingstee?
Der gyokuru. Drinking gyokuru, the one that's been shaded. Yeah. It's the one that's been. The slides? For sure. Yeah, I made it with that in mind for sure. Definitely. Also laut meiner Präsi hätte ich das nicht alles wegnehmen müssen. Ich einfach einen zweiten Auftritt machen. Ja. Aber ich trinke 2, also ich trinke im Dockroom. In Sencha. Ja, genau. Yep. I'm making some. How much does it cost? Gyokuru is more expensive. Sencha you can get it cheaper. Gyokuru will be like this is $20. Yeah. When the money doesn't matter. I've never seen tea more than like 65 for the bag like that, but I'm sure it exists. I'm gonna go get more water.
Sie ist kein Frühstück, sie ist kein Mittag, sie ist kein...
Nico, gibt es in Japan auch Jasmin-Tee? Also man Grüntee mit so Jasmin mischt?
Die mischen Grüntee mit allem. Das ist so, wie wir Wasser trinken, trinken die Grüntee. So in jedem Delhi gibt es 1000 verschiedene.
Hast du dort eine Zeit lang gelebt oder wie bist du so da drauf gekommen?
Sorry, ich habe die Frage nicht gehört, weil das kocht ja.
Hast du dort gelebt eine Zeit lang oder ist das jetzt nur durch den Tee?
Hab ich dort? Ja. Nein, leider nicht. Ich habe das, genau, ich habe das alles quasi in den letzten 1,5 Jahren entdeckt, am Arbeiten. Und genau.
Würdest du jetzt empfehlen, quasi das nochmal...
Did anyone not have tea yet? Hatten wir schon? Ja. Also wenn ihr wollt. Die wollen noch. Gyokuru. The one that was shaded. My favorite one. The one that was shaded by the people. You guys want more?
Und? Ja, okay, das ist gut. Das ist auch mega lecker. Nico, I think I didn't get in the beginning. Is green tea and black tea are from the same plant?
Yeah. I'll go back.
Why one is green and one is black?
I'll go back to that slide. So this thing is fun. Here. They're all the same plant. They're basically how it's treated. So this is when Japanese green tea, you see it's the only one that's, when it's plucked, fresh, it's steamed immediately. Everything else is withered first.
What is withering?
Yeah.
Withering is when a plant is cut off and you leave it out, it withers. It shrivels up.
So it's like dries?
Yeah,
Dries out?
except dry, something's wet and then it's dry. But withering is actually like a chemical process as well. Like a rose petal that's on the table for 3 weeks. It withers.
So what do you recommend purchasing first?
I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on if you already know I mean, sencha is the most popular one. That doesn't mean that. You know what I mean? You can look at this, or you can look at this and be like, what are you trying to? What's your problem?
But did you really feel some health improvements? or just some mental improvement?
No, lots of health improvement.
I mean, you can say that I feel more calm or something like that, but can you really say that I don't know, I became slimmer or my metabolism improved?
Yeah, you can measure how much weight you lose, and you can isolate all other factors. You can just do the same thing you do and keep a journal, and then start drinking green tea. Do that for 2 weeks, keep a journal, and then drink green tea for 4 weeks, and then measure weight loss. Digestive, I mean, when you eat a cheeseburger or when you eat a salad, you feel a difference in your digestive system, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking about your
Me? Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, for sure, totally. I wouldn't say it otherwise. Do you guys want to try the sencha as well?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Kräutertee ist gut, kann man so. Kräutertee ist so der schwarzen, the British, Darjeeling.
Sencha, ja. Den hatten wir noch nicht.
It should be a little bit stronger now.
You guys are gonna have a fun afternoon. Aber es ist mit dem Kaffee nicht. Ja. Es ist anders. Du hast wahrscheinlich schon mal Grün Tee getrunken. Aber die Qualität ist super wichtig. Es ist super wichtig. Du kriegst diese ganzen. Aus dem Teebeutel kriegst du es nicht. Habe ich dich überzeugt? Oder? Ja, Knowledge is power, Mann. Wir bestellen einen Tee zusammen. Oder, wir haben ja jetzt. Oder? Und so Backgammon spielen. Ja. Alleine mit dem Ding. Ich habe vergessen natürlich, ja.
Man muss es einfach ausprobieren mit dem Wasserfilter. Also ich trinke sehr gerne, oder eine Zeit lang habe ich sehr gerne schwarzen Tee getrunken und das macht halt echt einen Unterschied.
Will ich machen, ja. Ja. Werde ich machen.
Hast du jetzt noch Sencha oder was war das?
Just like that.
Nah, dude. I drink Gyokuru in the morning, Sencha in the afternoon, and I'll mix in. No, I don't do bancha. I drink this at in the night, and I drink some other things at night as well, like Bulgarian mountain tea, and what else? There's one more. Oh, and ginger, obviously, ginger tea. A lot.
But the ginger has to come from the southern of Peru, or
Where? What?
I don't know. There's probably something specific about the ginger tea, right?
No.
No?
No.
Just the Rewe one.
Just the Rewe one. Organic if you're.
Organic.
Yeah, if it's the beginning of the month.
What do you think about these teas that are often sold in tea shops with like some fruits or flowers or some taste?
So, basically, I'm gonna leave this, but basically, and I forgot to emphasize that that's not tea. Like fruit tea, ginger tea, chamomile tea, that's not tea. They're herbal infusions. But they're super healthy. Mint is super healthy, and all of them. So,
Hast du jetzt noch Sencha-Tee da?
Senchas,
Hier, ich habe hier noch Glas.
ja.
So, vielleicht die ausgewonnen.
So, das ist jetzt ein anderer.
Ja, und den hast du aber genauso gesagt, das ist 1 Minute 90 Sekunden ziehen lassen, meinst du, oder was?
Nee, 90 Sekunden ist nur, wenn man mehrere Aufgüsse macht. Aber wir
Okay.
machen jetzt nur einen. Deswegen
und dann
kriegst du die
lässt du
volle 2 Minuten.
Okay. bisschen blumiger, oder? Eigentlich, so ist das?
Ja. Weniger grasig
Ja.
wie der andere.
Oder algig.
Verdammt. Yeah. I haven't seen teas that are more expensive than like 65 for a bag like this, but I'm sure they exist. Yeah. But it's like contest grade. Japanese judges were like, this is the best tea of the year. PNT is good. Yeah, that's how much the gyokuru costs. The sencha is cheaper.
Weil halt Teebeutel, ne? Okay. Das war ja eigentlich so ein fetter.
Yes, in the next. This is the sencha.
Das ist ja extra diese Teeleben davon.
So which
Ja,
equipment
muss erstmal machen.
Nico?
Sorry?
Which equipment do you recommend also listed in
Everything you see here. Tea strainer, Kyuzu, this, essential. And then matcha, all you need is this. So. I have some, yeah. My personal stash, so come talk to me later. Matcha ain't cheap.
Ja, manche eben so. Ich finde das so krümelig, damit ich das nicht mal.
Auch eine Möglichkeit.
Alex.
Wir gehen dann einen Alkoholiker fangen, ne?
Jetzt kann man Tee hier nicht trinken.
Slippery slope.
Hast du auch irgendwelche Erfahrungen mit Kukicha?
Sorry?
Hast du irgendwelche Erfahrungen auch mit Kukicha?
Nee. Hab ihn nur mal getrunken, ich mag's nicht, weil es so geröstet ist.
Die wurde mir nämlich auch empfohlen, ich habe dann welche gekauft, aber ich finde ihn auch ein bisschen zu
Ja.
geröstet
Ja.
irgendwie. Und
Aber wurde dir empfohlen für
zum
Health?
Lernen irgendwie, also so, um richtig wach zu bleiben. Aber, nee, aber das ist sehr lecker, sehr sanft. und-
Ja? Ich meine, wenn ich meinen eigenen Rat folge, dann werde ich auch irgendwann Bancha abends trinken. Aber Bancha ist ja auch so